Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we'll be building this modern website template that has a login and a registration form using HTML and CSS. So at the top here we have a navigation bar that has a logo, and then at the right we have some navigation links. We have the home, the about, the services and the contact page with these scroll hover effects on them. Then here we have a login button. In the main section we have some text here. Then this get started button. When you click on the get started button, it brings out the login form where user can log in with their email and password. Same thing with the login button. When you click on the login button, it also brings up this login form. So a user can log in with an email address johndoe@gmail.com or a password. Then in this password you have this toggler here where you can, if you want to view the password you typed, maybe you are not sure of what you type, you can click here and what you type will be visible. You can click again to toggle it. If you don't have an account yet, you can click on the registration link here. When you click on register, the registration form will appear where you can register with your username, an email address and a password. So this is the login form and this is the registration form. So this is what we'll be learning in this tutorial. And once this form is visible on the screen, you can see this button. You cannot click on the login button here and even the get started here. You can only close this form using this close icon here. For this tutorial I have this folder that I created in my desktop with an image on it. So this will be our background image. So this is the only file that I have in this folder. Then I go ahead and create my index folder, my index page, index.html. So I give it a title of web template. Then in the body we start with the navigation bar. I have a nav, a div with nav container. Then inside this nav container we have our logo. And after the logo we have the nav links. The nav links will contain anchor tags. The first will be the home, then the about, the services, and then the links to the contact page. After the links we have another div with a class of btn. So this will be for the login button. So this is what we have in the navigation bar. Then let me open this in my browser, and this is what we get. So this is how our page is looking. Let's go back then and add some styling. I create a style.css. Then first of all, let me remove the margins, the padding, then outline, and the border will be none. Box sizing will be border box. Then the font family. For the font family, I will use the Poppins. Then as an alternative, sans serif. And for the body, I will give the body a height of 100 view height. 100 view height. Also a mean height, so that it will always be 100 view height. Overflow will be hidden. Then a background. With a background image. So this will be the image we have. So this will be the background image here. If I save this and then go back to my HTML file and link the CSS style.css. So let's go back to the browser and refresh. So this is what we get. This is the background image. Then in the CSS, this background image, background repeat will be no repeat. Then background position to the center, and then the background size will be cover. Lastly, I will give the body a color. Color for the text will be a white color. Let me save this again and refresh. So our image is positioned in the center as we wanted, and the text as we want them. Next is the navigation. So for the nav bar, this one will be positioned. We have a fixed position. It will be 0 to the top, then 0 to the left, and a width of 100%. And a background, I'll give it a background, a linear gradient. So this will be an RGBA color. Then I'll also display it flex so that I can align the item to the center. Finally, I'll give it a Z index of 8. So let's go back and refresh. So we only see some background here. Next is the nav container. So inside this navigation we have our nav container. So this is the actual container that has our logo and the nav links. So the nav container, we have a width of 100%. And display will be flex. Align items to the center. Then justify content will be space between. I'll give it some padding, 1.2 rem top and bottom, then 6 rem left and right. Let's go back and refresh. I save. Yeah, nav container. Let's refresh, and this is what we have. So this is our logo at the left and our nav links at the right. So inside the nav container we have our logo and the H2 on it. So this we have a font size. This font size will be 1.7. Then after the logo we have the nav links, nav container and the nav links. The nav links will display them flex, align items to the center, and a gap of 1.4 rem. Inside the nav links again, let's target the anchor tag. First, the text decoration will be none, and then the color of the anchor tag will be white. A font weight of 500. Position it relative. Then a font size of 500, a font size of 19 pixels. So let's go back and refresh. Yeah, so this is what we get. Then these anchor tags, they have some hover effect on them. For the hover effect, we will use the after studio element of the anchor tag. So for that hover effect, I will target the nav links again, then the anchor tag. I will use the after studio element. The content will be an empty content. Give it a width of 100%. The height will be 3 pixels. Then position it absolute, 0 to the left and 0 to the bottom. then a background with a white background. So let's go back and refresh. So this is the after studio element. Okay, so for the bottom should be -6 pixels, so that there will be gap between the text and the so this is, we use this for our hover effect. Give this a border radius also. The border radius will be 7 pixels. And I will transform it, the scale to 0. So this will make it hidden by default. So if I refresh, you are not seeing this unless we will show it when we hover over the anchor tags. So let me go down again and target the nav links, the anchor tag. On hover, we will target the after studio element, then transform it and give it a scale of 1. So with this, we can be able to see it when we hover over the anchor element. So this is what we get. Here I add a transition, a transform origin. The transform origin will be from the left, and then add some transition here. Transition will be 500 milliseconds. Then here on hover, I add a transform origin of right. Transform origin. So let me refresh again. And we get this. So this is the hover effect. Next is the login button. So for the login button, we give it a class of btn. So I will target the btn. I will start with a font. It will have a font size of 19 pixels and a font weight of 500. The background will be transparent with a border of 1 pixel. And border radius. Then some padding of 8 pixels top and bottom and 16 pixels left and right. And the cursor will be pointer. Let's refresh, and so this is it. Next, let's add the hover effect on the btn. So I have the btn on hover. I give it a background. So the background will be a linear gradient. So on hover, this will be the background. Then let me add some transition here to get a cool hover effect. Transition will be 300 milliseconds. If I refresh and hover, so this is what we get. So for this anchor tags, the active one will always have this after effect on it. So let me go and add the style for the active. So okay, before the hover, I have the nav links, then the anchor tag, the active with a class of active, then the after pseudo element will always be transform it scale of 1. Then in my index, in the home, I'll add the class of active. So the home will be active. If I refresh, yeah, this is what we have. So the active one will always have this thing under this after pseudo element under it. So with this, we are done with the logo, with the navigation. Then let's go ahead and add the main section. So for the main section, I'll just add a main tag. Then inside this main tag, we have the header. So this will be our header. Inside the header, we have the h1. And after the h1, now we have another h2 that says next generation AI powered website. Yeah. Then after the h2, I have a paragraph text. So this will be just a dummy text. And after the paragraph, we have another btn that says get started. So let me save and refresh. So this is what we get in our main section. Okay, so we'll go and add the CSS for the main. The header. Here we have a padding of 10 rem to the top, 5 rem left and right, and then 5 rem to the bottom. And a width, the width will be 55 view width. So this is what we get. We push this down a little bit from the navigation bar. Inside the header, we have a h1 So this H1 we increase the font size to 5 rem and the font weight to 700. We also have the H2. So the H2 we have a font size of 2.5 rem and some margin 1 rem to the top, 0 left and right, and 1.5 to the bottom. Then we have the paragraph. The paragraph, we have a font size of 18 pixels. The font weight will be 500 and the line height will be 1.33. Then this paragraph, we have a background similar to the navigation bar. So let me copy this linear gradient background and for the paragraph paste it. So this one will be 0.1. So if I refresh, this is what we have. Then the next is this BTN here. Let's adjust the styling for the BTN. So the header and the BTN, add some margin to the top, 1.7 rem to the top, and then the padding will be 1 rem top and bottom and 2 rem left and right. And the width of, let's use fit content. This, let me adjust this to 3 rem. The font size of 2.5 rem and the font weight of 600. So let me refresh. This is what we get. So let me add some background to it. Let me use this linear background. Linear gradient to be 0.2. Let's refresh. Yeah. For the hover effect, let me change the background. So on hover of this BTN, I change the background to this linear gradient 0.4. Okay, so this is what we have. So with this, we are done with the navigation bar and the main section. Next is let's design the form for the login and the registration. So for the login and the registration form pop-up, I will start with creating a div with a class of pop-up. So this will be our pop-up container. Inside the pop-up, I will have a form, another div with form container. So in this form container, I have the actual form element. The first form will be for I'll give it a class of login. So this will be the login form. Inside the login form, we have a H2 text that says login. Then we have some form controls. So, a div with form control. In the form control, first we have an input. This will be of type email. So this is for the login. You are logging in with an email and a password. After the input, we will have a label. This label will be for the email. Then after the label, we have a div with an icon. So I'll give it an icon div. So this icon div will contain the icons for our input. So for the icons, we'll be using font awesome. So let me just go back to my browser and go to grab the font awesome CDN. So I first get the CDN. I will copy this link tag, then paste it in the head section of my HTML page. So with this link, we can be able to use the font awesome icons. Go back and then go to the actual font awesome website. Then go to the icons. So for the email input, I will search for the envelope here. So this is the icon will be used. So I will grab this one and then paste it on the icon tip. Then after the email form control, we have another form control. So this will be for the password. Inside the icon div for the password, we have two icons. So I search for an eye. Yeah. So we have this one and this one. Let me copy this and paste it. Then copy this one also. And paste it. Okay, so after the password form control, we have a link for forgot password. So this will be an anchor tag. Just say give it a class of forgot password. Then after the anchor tag, we have the actual submit button that says login. A type and submit. Then finally, we have a paragraph text here. that says don't have an account yet. And expand with register. So this will be our registration link to our register form. Let me save and go back to my website, refresh, and you will not see the pop-up yet because now it's overflowing the body and we are hiding it by default. So we use CSS to bring it out now. So let me target the pop-up. So the pop-up will have a fixed position. The top, 0 to the top, left 0, bottom 0, and then 0 to the right. Then I will display it grid. I can be able to place the items to the center. Let's go back and refresh, and this is our form container here. So this is the form container. Then the pop-up, I give it a z-index. The z-index will be, just give it 9. Inside the pop-up, we have the actual form container. So the form container will have a relative position. The width will be 24 and then the height will be 27 give it a border. Have a border of 2 pixels. So this will be the border, the color for the border, and a border radius of 20 pixels. Then the display will be flex. So let me refresh and see what we have. Okay, so this is what we have for now. Then I add a transparent background to it. So the background will be transparent. So I can be able to add some backdrop filter. So add a backdrop filter of blur 10 pixels. So with this background, transparent background and the backdrop filter, we'll be able to get this background effect like this. Then the box shadow. Add some box shadow to it. 30 pixel. Then overflow will be hidden. Let's refresh again, and this is what we get. Then inside the form container, we have the actual form elements. So for the forms we have an absolute position of 0 to the top, and then 0 to the left. The width will be 100%, and the padding of 40 pixels. A flat display. The flat direction will be column. Items will be aligned to the center, and justify context will be center. Then give it a gap of 1 line. If I refresh again, so this is what we get. Next is the H2. So we have the form, the H2, and we have a font size of 1.8 rem. A color, the color will be an RGB color. So this we have 36, 35, and 35. So this will be our color. And some margin to the bottom of 10 pixels. Let's refresh. Yeah. And this is what we get. After the H2, we have our form controls. So after this H2, we have our form controls. For the form control, we have a width of 100%. And a height of 50 pixels. We have a flex display. Align items will be end, and then a relative position with a bottom border bottom. Border bottom will be 2 pixels solid. This will also be an RGB color. We have 60, 60, and 60. So this will be if we give it a border to the bottom. If I refresh, so this is what we get. This is the border. And inside the form control, we have an input. So the input, we have a width of 100%, and the padding 0.8 pixel. Font size will be 16 pixel and background will be transparent. So this is how our inputs will be. After the input, we have the label. So in the label we have an absolute position. It will be position to the left 0, and then a margin to the bottom will be 8 pixel, and the color so this will be the color, and the font size will be 15 pixel. Font weight 600. Refresh, and this is what we get. Let me reduce this. Padding here will be 6 pixel, and this one margin bottom will be 6. Yeah, it's better like this. Then next is these icons here. For the icons, we give them a class name of, so we have the form control, then we have the icon div. So the icon div, we also have an absolute position. This time around we position to the right 6 pixels from the right, and then 6 pixels to the bottom, and to have the same color as this. Let's refresh, and this is what we get. Then next, let's add the transition to this our labels. So for the transition effect, go back, change something. Here is email. So for the transition effect of the labels, we go to form control. So we target the input, and on focus we then target the label. Here we're giving it a margin to the bottom will be 35 pixels. So on focus of the input, the label will have a margin of 35 pixels. So by default we give it a margin bottom of 6 pixels. Let's refresh, and this is what we get. Okay, so let's add some transition here to have a, this will be 300 milliseconds. We go back, refresh. Yeah. So next we want to retain the transition effect when this is valid. So if we have some text on the input, we want to retain this transition effect. So for that we will use the form control and input. So this will be valid. Then we target the label again. If I refresh, let's see. Okay, so by default they will be valid. We go back to my HTML, and for each of these inputs, let's add the required attribute. So this will be required, this also required. I think this will fix our issue. Yes. So for the email, you need to add a valid email, something at gmail.com. So you need to add a valid email. So this is it for the transition effect. So for this password, for the icons here, you need to change the cursor so that it will be clickable. Go to my styling again, and this form control, let me go to my HTML first. And this form control, the password form control, I give it an extra class of password so that I can come here, and the form control, the password, the icon div, change the cursor to pointer. So this will be pointer, so showing that it's clickable. Next, we need to hide this icon on by default. We only show this one. So let me go to my HTML, and for these two icons, I'll give them an extra class name. So this will be view, and this we have an extra class of hide. So let me copy this again, and the I tag with a class of hide. So this we have display it none. Refresh, and this, so this is how we want it to be. So that's it for the input and their icons. Next is the forgot password. To have a font size of 15 pixels and some margin, 8 pixels top and bottom, and 0 left and right. So the forgot password is this. Then next is the button, the submit button. That's the login button. That will be our form, and then the button. We have a width of 100%, a padding of 12 pixels, Then the background color will be this, and a font size of 18 pixels. The color will be white. And the font weight of 500. Text outline will be center, and then a border radius of 5 pixels. We also have some margin, 8 pixels top and bottom, and 0 left and right. Then the cursor will be pointer, and an opacity will be 0.9. Then let me add some transition of 300 milliseconds. Then on hover of the button, you have the form, on hover it will have an opacity of 1. So let me refresh, and this is what we get. Next is the paragraph text down. So that will be our form, and then the p tag. So you have a font size of 17 pixels, and the color, then the font weight of 500. Then inside the p tag, inside this p tag we have a span. So the span will have a color. The color will be a purple color, and the cursor will be pointer. If I refresh, this is what we have. So next, let's add the close button here for closing this our pop-up container. So for that, I'll go back to my font awesome and search for the X. This will be the X icon. Yeah. So the X icon, I will take this one, then go back to my HTML. In the form container, this will be in the form container. I have the close icon. And then let's add the styling for the close icon. So this will have an absolute position to be 8 pixels to the top, then the right will be 10 pixels. And a font size of 1.5 rem. The cursor will be pointer. The color, then a background color, some padding 4 pixel, 8 pixel. A border radius of 5 pixel and an opacity of 0.8. The Z index will be 9. Then the close icon on hover, it will have an opacity of 1. Let's close, save this, then refresh, and this is what we get. So with this we are done with the login form. The next will be the register form. For the registration form, I'll just duplicate this login form that I've already created. So I'll duplicate the form. Yeah, so this is the login form, and this one will be, we have a class of register. This will be the register form. For the registration form, before the email form control, we have another one for the username. So this will be type text, and this will be username. So for the username, we change the icon. So let me go back to my font awesome and search for user. I'm going to use this one, copy it, and then paste it here. Let me go back to my page and refresh. Okay, so this will be register, and this will also be register. Let me refresh, and you can see both the registration form and the login form are displayed here. Let me go back to my CSS, then the form, the login form. So the login form, let me just display it none for now. If I refresh, we only see the registration form here. So we register with a username, an email, and a password. Then the register form, we have the form, the register form, we have a height, okay. For the registration form, I will just, okay, let me leave this for now. Refresh. This is what we get. Okay, let me remove this. In the registration form, we do not need this forgot password. What we have here is a div for the terms and services. So I will give it a class name of terms. So the terms, we have an input, a checkbox, and then a span agree to the terms and conditions. Then the paragraph will say already have an account, then log in. Let me refresh, and this is what we have. Okay, so let me go back to my CSS and go back to the form container. So for the form container, I add an active form container. That's active. I add an extra class on it, an extra active class on it. On active, I change the height to 28 rem. Then let me add the active class for now. This is the form container. I add the active class. So we use JavaScript to toggle this active class, but for now let's just add it manually like this. And refresh. Yeah, we have this. And let's go back to our CSS. And style the terms and conditions. So to the terms, it will have a width of 100%. Display will be flex. Align items to the center, and then it will have a gap of 8 pixels. The font size will be 14 pixels. And the font weight of 500. The color, and then a margin of 5 pixels top and bottom, then 0 left and right. Let's refresh again, and this is what we get. Okay, so the input in the terms, then the input, that's the checkbox. We have a width of 16 pixels, and same as the height, 16 pixels. So for the form, the register form, then the H2, let me reduce I'll give it a margin to the bottom will be 0. So this is it for the registration form. So the only addition is the username and then this agreement checkbox, and the rest is the same as the login form. So with this, we are also done with the registration form. So next we have to add some JavaScript to our HTML so that we can be able to toggle this register and login button. Before that, let me go back to my CSS and the form, then the register, the register form. We have a transform translate x will be 100%. Then the login form, instead of displaying none, I will just transform it. Have a transform translate x will be 0. So this is how it should be. If I refresh, you will see the login. So this will be it for the CSS for now. Let me create the JavaScript file. We have a script.js. Then inside this JS file, first let me create some variables. The pop-up container. So this will be our document.query selector. So this will be our pop-up, and then the form container, the actual form container. Then the next variable will be for our password form control. pwd controls. So we have two form control, that's our password for the password. So this will be document.query selector all. The form control and password. So these are the three variables we need. Then for the toggling the pop-up container, let me create a function. This will be an arrow function, toggle pop-up container. So it will just get the pop-up container and add and toggle the active class on it. So toggle active. So this function will toggle the active class on the pop-up container, but we have not added this active class yet. So we go back to my CSS, and on the pop-up we need to add an active class on it. So this will be pop-up dot active. So before the active class, we need to hide this pop-up by default. So I will use the transform and scale it to 0 at the beginning. Let me add some transition. Will be 500 milliseconds. Please. Then when it is active, I will transform it and give it a scale of 1. Let me refresh this. So by default, this will be hidden on the screen. And then let's add our JavaScript file, script.js, and then copy this function. So I'll use the onClick event on the element. First we go to the navigation bar. You have this login button here. So on click, it will toggle this pop-up container. I'll copy it, this on click event again. In the main, then the header, we have the get started. In this get started button, I'll add it again. Then lastly, on the close icon here, so if I go back and refresh, let me click on the login, and this is what you get. Click here. So once we click, it will toggle the active class on the pop-up container, and this will be visible on the screen. Then next we need to toggle this. Next is to toggle the login and the registration form. So for that, I will create another function. This will be toggle form container. So this will also be an arrow function. You get the form container and also toggle the active class on it. So for this one, we need to go back to our CSS again. And then grab the form container .active. So when the form container is active, we target the form, then the login form. The login form, we transform it, then translate x will be -100%. Copy this down. This is login form. Then this will be the register form. This will be 0. So at the beginning, the login form, we translated it in the x direction 0, so that we can see it once the pop-up is visible on the screen. And the registration form, we translate it to the x direction 100%. Then on active, when the form container, we add the active form container, which we will be toggling using the JavaScript here. So when this form container has this active class, we will transform the login form -100%, and then the registration form, we translate it to 0, so that the registration form will be visible. Then let me go back and remove this active class that I added here. So we toggle this active class using JavaScript. Let's go back, refresh. Okay, nothing is happening now. I need to copy this function again. This toggle form container. Go back to my HTML. Then in this login, I'll add an on-click event. Let me copy it again. And then go to the register in the login form. This is the register. Let me refresh. Click here. Then register. Login. Register. Okay. Let me go back to the form and add some transition. Where is the form? So for this form, I'll add some transition to the form. This will be 400 milliseconds. Refresh again, click on login, then register, login. Okay, I think I should increase it to 500. Then refresh. Okay, this is good. And next, we need to be able to, okay, once this form is visible on the screen, these two buttons, don't click it again because the pop-up is covering everything. We achieve that using the Z index on the pop-up container. So we are done with the toggling. I think the last thing we need to work on is on the password, so that once we click here, we can be able to view our password. So for that, let's go back to our JavaScript. So this will be on the password control. So pwd control dot. For each control, I get the input, load the form input equals to control dot query selector. So this will be the input, and then I get the icon div. So this password controls, we have the these are the password control, this one in the login form, and then this is the icon div. We have another password control on the registration form. So we did two JavaScript. With this JavaScript, you can get the two password form controls, then get the input and then the icon div. Then we add an on-click event on the icon div. On-click, add a function, an arrow function. So on-click of the icon div in each of the form control. First we add an if statement. We check if the form input dot type. So if the type is password, so by default it will have a type of password. If it is password, we will change it to text. Then the icon div, we add a class to it, a class list.add. So we have not added the styling for this active class. We do it shortly. Then adds the form input dot type to be password. Then icon div dot class list dot remove active. Let's go back, refresh, log in, then type password, click here. So this is working. Same thing with the registration, type a password, click. So both the password is working for both password. Then next we need to change this icon. Once we click on view on this toggle, we need to change the icon. That's why I added this active class on the icon div. So in the CSS, I go back to my so this is the password icon div. By default we are hiding so in this icon div we have the view and the hide. So this is an I with slash, this is the view, the one we are showing by default. So here let me add so if this thing is active, form control pwd password icon div dot active. So if it is active, then the view will be hidden, and then this active, the hide will display it block. Okay, so let me refresh again and type so this is it. So with this, I think we have come to the end of this tutorial. We have achieved what we want to do in this tutorial, the login and the registration form. With this, we have come to the end of this tutorial. Please subscribe to our channel so that it will help our channel to grow and other people can see us on YouTube. We are very sorry for any technical issues in this video. So this is our very first video on YouTube and we hope to do more in next tutorial. Remember to subscribe and turn on the notification button in our channel.